right. Cool. We can get started now. Um, this recap is a recap of weeks 11 through 13 of my data analysis job hunt. The reason I'm recapping weeks 11 through 13, which are days 71 through 91, that I don't know if that math adds up, but that's about right. It's because I was on vacation from days 75 to 90. I was visiting family in Scotland, so I didn't do any structured work. I did do some work, but I didn't take notes on how long I was working for. Yes, so this recap will be shorter. Table of contents, same as before. Technical skills, non-technical skills, job apps, work rate scheduling, documentation, and other. So for technical skills, I only worked on SQL and Tableau. For SQL, this is what I was at before week 11, and now this is where I'm at. I worked on summary statistics, distribution functions, and summary. I did start the health analytics mini case study. However, Docker shipbricks, and now I can't get SQL to work. So I've done like an hour of troubleshooting. I'm gonna have to work on that later. So kind of at a standstill right now with the SQL course, this one. However, I did two things. While I was moving in my sister in Chicago, I had to sit and wait by the car for like half an hour. And in my mind, I'm like, I want to be working on some data stuff. I was listening to a podcast, but that didn't feel good enough. Or I felt like I could do more. So what I did was I looked for apps where I could just work on SQL on my phone. And then I found DataCamp, and then I worked on SQL on my phone. I did this while waiting in the car, and just really any time I have some downtime and I can just go on my phone. Did it some at the airport, and also at the airport I read the ACE Data Science Interview SQL section, as well as did some practice problems. So this course does not contain all the SQL practice I've done, although it seems like I have not done a lot. I've done a decent amount on here. I don't have the minutes to show you because I wasn't taking notes on how long I was working, because I don't feel like I didn't want to hold myself to any standard while I was working on vacation, because vacation is vacation. As for Tableau, I have two things to mention here. First to mention is my progress. I completed the mark section, and then I have done most of the calculated fields, table calcs, and parameter section. The other note I want to make is I tried two different styles of going through the Tableau course. Initially, when I was going through it, I was watching the video and then just doing the exercise that he did, following through on my Tableau software. The two other ways I went about trying this, the first one is kind of just listening to it passively, like a podcast, and just playing it multiple times. I found this was better than doing nothing. Like I might be, I don't know, fiddling with a soccer ball or something while I'm doing this, or fiddling with a hockey stick, which did provide some benefits, but if I was doing that the whole day, my mood just didn't feel great because I didn't feel like I was getting some very, very concrete amount of work in. The next way I tried going through this course, I did while I was on vacation. It was I would go through the video, take notes on all the questions he answered, all the information that was given. Or I kind of just basically flashcards, just on paper though. And then quiz myself on that. And then when I got to the next video, I would quiz myself on that. And then I also wrote down the exercises and tried to do it from memory. This is definitely the most information I'm able to retain doing that method. However, it is much slower. But I think I'm going to continue with that for now because my mood seems to be better going through it like that. So, yeah, I also did one short portfolio project, but it was really ugly. It was 4 bar charts. They're all it was four different bar charts. It doesn't look very appealing. So, got to do some work on that. Yeah. Next is non-technical skills. I didn't work on any behavioral interview questions. I also speaking of speaking and presenting, I want to cut down on the ums that I'm saying. I don't know if it's better to have no filler or just to say ums. Or, I mean, maybe I just have to know what I'm saying. Be more calm and relaxed. So, the two things here that I worked on for the non-technical skills components is speaking and presenting and storytelling. For speaking and presenting, I did not animate this little block here. I want to do that in the future. What I did is I have committed to making a weekly podcast. The podcast, I just said again. The podcast is not targeted towards the audience. The purpose of the podcast is to, is to develop my speaking and presenting skills, as well as my thinking and conversational skills. However, there won't be any other guests on the podcast. It's just me talking and monologuing, so somewhat of a conversation. Still, I did it again? Wow, I do say a lot. I guess that's really something I have to consciously be aware of. But moving on to what I have on the to-do list, still just speaking skills. I haven't gone into them at all. Did it again. At least I'm catching myself in the ums. That's progress, I would say, identifying it. So, still want to do that. Yeah. Now, moving on to storytelling, which I somewhat forgot to do. What I wanted to do was kind of tell a story for each slide. Did it again. I'm going to point myself out every time I catch myself saying But I want to tell each slide in the form of a story. I don't know how I would tell this slide in the form of a story, but so be it. Also, said again. Also, I want to know when to tell stories, how long a story should be, and when to tell facts, and when to just gloss over stuff. Next component is job applications. Quick note here. I can feel the urge to say and I've been resisting it a little bit, so that is progress. So, is so a filler word? Maybe so is a filler word, but. So, here you can see that I have content on all of the, on all of the job application components. Previously, I said I'm not going to work on job application components until I have my portfolio projects in order. However, I said again. However, I feel that I felt more engaged working on this job application stuff because after working on the courses for so long, my motivation to work on them sort of diminished, and my motivation to work on cold emailing specifically, not just cranking out applying to jobs, because cold emailing is a skill, whereas just applying to a job, I wouldn't really say is much of a skill. But yes, I'm working on this now because I want to work on cold emailing, and it gives me more motivation to have projects because there is a direct application to my weekly life. Oh, I messed up my train of thought there. It has application in my weekly life, so it has more motivation to work on those skills because I will be experiencing, harvesting. I'm trying to put together fruits of my labor and getting the fruits of my labor. That doesn't sound right, but I will push that aside for now. So, moving on to actual applications. I only made one application and 2 cold emails to do more applications. This is the meat of what I did in this section, was taking a lot of cold email notes, kind of sort of breaking down what a cold email is into sections. If you're curious, the sections, I said again. The sections are subject line, intro line, or greeting line. You can compare, I said again. You can combine the greeting and intro line if you like, where you basically state why you're emailing them, which is like, I saw that this company name has an open data analyst position and I'm excited to apply. You could also put in a personal line connecting to whoever you're emailing, which I saw a video. You can do like an Excel spreadsheet where you have like the name, the email of the person, the company, the position, and then you could put in a personal line for each recruiter. And then, if you put your personal line for each recruiter, you can send out all those emails at once. So I am very looking forward to that, which is on my to-do list, is to create a system to mass cold emails. I didn't finish the templates of the cold email. FYI, it's like 6 a.m. I'm jet lagged because I got back from Scotland. I woke up at 5. And I am not a morning person. My mind typically tends to run better in the afternoon. Excuses. But the main portion of the cold email template I want to work on is the selling myself line. So we'll go subject line, intro line, selling myself line, specific ask, and then closing. Closing is pretty simple. It's just like email signature and then maybe linking your LinkedIn on there. Specific ask, this one's also, there's not much to it. You're basically just asking for an interview or what the next steps are. It really just depends on who you are emailing. You could do, tell me more information about this job, but most of the time, I think it's, I'm not speaking from experience. I am speaking from somebody else's experience that they said that's typically better. But, yep, so selling myself line, that's what I want to work on. I also created 3 different resumes and updated them. Why 3 different resumes? Well, there are, actually it's more than 3, but 3 main ones. The 3 resumes I made, one is my standard data analyst resume. However, I took off sustainability intern because I don't feel it's relevant to most data analyst job applications, and one of the principles of making a resume is to omit neutral information. This is because whoever's looking through the resume is only looking through it very quickly. You don't want to distract them from the parts that are positive information. And then I also created a resume for being a sustainability data analyst, where I include that sustainability internship in there. I said again. And my 3rd resume is the same as the sustainability data analyst resume. However, it's just targeted towards being a data analyst, and the format of the resume is not a 2-column resume. It's just 1 column. And then I also made some resumes to include or exclude the libraries I used for my optoelectronics internship, because that may or may not be relevant. I'll only include it or submit that resume if the job description asks for one of the libraries I used. My to-do? None, really. Networking, I made 2 cold emails. Want to work on those. Yeah. To-do, just more cold emails, I suppose. Work rate and scheduling. I said, I'm not including this week's work rate because I didn't take notes on how much I was working throughout vacation. I said, again. So we're just going to talk about daily schedule. What did I do regarding my daily schedule? I'm testing a short morning routine. This is somewhat related to a video I saw. Said again. This is somewhat related to a video I saw by Alex Hormozy, where he talked about the disadvantages of having a morning routine, because he said, short version is, a morning routine isn't work. Doing, meditating, cold shower, sunlight, exercise, it isn't work. And right now, the most important part or task I have throughout my day is my work. So what I did is I basically just cut off meditation and cold showers out of my morning routine. I wake up, get my sunlight, walk my dog, drink some water, then get right to work. However, I don't cut out those activities completely. I allow myself to do them in my breaks, which I have set at an hour to an hour and a half. So they're not excluded from my daily routine, but I'm just getting to work earlier, and I find this to be better. It also relieves stress of me feeling like I have to do these things to operate well. So that's nice. I'm also testing eating breakfast. I didn't eat breakfast today because my morning routine was messed up because I couldn't get sunlight because the sun wasn't up. I woke up too early. So still dealing with jet lag. I think I said again. I'm also testing a less structured work schedule. I used to be very reliant on, if I want to get work done in my room, I have to start work in the morning. And I have to do it at the time I say I want to do it. Now I'm kind of testing where, alright, let's say I wake up whenever. I'll do my morning routine. Then I'll say, alright, I'll set a timer for an hour and a half to 3 hours to do work. And then after that, I'll be like, alright, now I can do whatever I want for an hour to an hour and a half. And then after that hour or hour and a half, I'll maybe set a timer for another hour and a half. In other words, I kind of just flip back and forth between work and not work. And if I'm out for a while and I'm like, alright, I'm going to sit down and do work, I'll just set a timer for some amount of time and work for that amount of time. So I'm more resilient in terms of what my day looks like. What I have to do, continue testing, set again. I also want a more detailed breakdown of each schedule. However, I don't think I'm going to get to that for a while because that is not on my priority list. My priority is SQL, Tableau, job applications, and behavioral interview questions. Also, dealing with this jet lag. Okay, documentation. Nothing to tell you. There is one thing I want to point out. I researched data analyst companies while I was on vacation. Initially, my goal was to go for a data analyst consulting company because I figured dipping my toes in a bunch of different projects would give me a lot more experience in different industries, so I could know what I want to work in, and also I feel like I would develop faster. However, upon my research, some people say, okay, being a data analyst at a consulting company, it is good for your soft skills and presentation skills. However, your technical skills tend to get worse. Also, hours aren't great, and then those are the primary points that I remember. So after that, I'm like, okay, don't really want to do that anymore, but I still want to know what companies I can go to develop my long-term skills the best. So I researched that, and I want to have a process for checking companies' development potential. If you're curious, some of the points that were made were 1, having access to a lot of data. 2 is a data-driven business, pushed down from the executive level, because some companies just hire data analysts because data is cool. And then also, when the data company has other data positions, it shows they're more organized. So if they have data architects, data engineers, stuff like that, it's probably a better place for that. And then the third is I also want to have availability for mentorship. So those are the primary things. Yeah. Saddam again. That's all. I'll see you in 2 weeks, or we'll make. Not sure if I'm going to do weekly or bi-weekly recap yet, but yeah. I'm also not going to cut this part out anymore where I have OBS loaded, because I don't feel like the reason I'm making this is to improve my speaking, presenting skills, and keep me accountable, which cutting this part out does not help me with at all. Makes the viewership worse, but that's not why. It's not why I'm making these.